You have to be competent to be a day trader, right? There's an energy to that. You need to have conviction in order to execute a trade. You need to have faith in your system and your setups and what you have learned over the years of being a trader, and that you can pull a good trade and to put on leverage, right? There's a confidence that you have to have. But ego, if there's a fine line, right? If ego is driving this past confidence, it will lead to more stubbornness with your trades. You can accept a larger risk than maybe your trade system generally intends to, such as this trade's definitely going to work. Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1, for starting your day with calm intention. 1, to stay centered while you trade. And 1, to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description. Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today. Hey guys, Becky from Market Mamas. So I recently started working with the prop funding company Blue Sky, which I am continually more and more impressed by every time I have interactions with them. But I was chatting with them and their coaches the other day and put together a little presentation to talk about the different mindsets that are super important for day trading and any sort of growth in the financial industry, but specifically in kind of growing into a successful trader. And so these were like, the topic was different mindsets that are really powerful for success, right? I think that successful day traders really do tend to cultivate specific mindsets that allow a trader to operate consistently in a high pressure, fast moving environment, which is day trading, right? When the candles start printing, you need to be able to keep your cool and be focused on your system always in order to get the best executions. And so when I was thinking about the mindsets that I've had to adjust and cultivate and shift to in trading, it became clear to me that there was 10 kind of distinct, although interrelated mindsets that I have to prioritize in order to get my best outcomes as a trader. And so I kind of wanted to bring those together and offer them up for you guys to see if any of these areas are something that you're working on as well in order to be the most consistent and successful that you can in the world of day trading. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, the 10 key mindsets for success in this role, and then, life also. But I guess to start us off, the first main one that has to be a very important priority just to be a day trader at all is your discipline and risk management. So having a mindset that is focused on discipline, the core of it is that survival is required for success. It's the foundation of being a trader long-term, is that you have to be able to sustain. Your accounts have to survive week over week, month over month, in order to be able to grow on your hot streaks. When you're trading really well, your accounts need to hold through a potential day that you don't see as well, right? And so great traders, they have to always prioritize capital and account preservation as a number one priority. And that defined trade plans, risk management rules, setups that you only trade, all of that is only as good as your ability and decision to stick with that, to be always disciplined with your strategy, your system, your risk management, your barriers to success in a day. And so when you are trading, what that looks like is using proper position sizing for your account size. When your trade goes against you, you have to cut that loss quickly and not overstay. So what that discipline looks like in practice, you have to use proper position sizing for your account size always. And then if the trade goes against you, you've got to cut losses quickly, right? You can't hold those losers long-term. That's very dangerous. And then also you can never risk too much on any given trade, right? Your leverage has to be right so that you're not putting on so much risk that your account can't even withstand that trade if it doesn't work out. Following your stop loss always, and then taking profits as planned based on what the move is that you're anticipating, the time that you have to trade, the time frame that you're trading, that has to be managed. And then you also want to be really careful to avoid impulsive choices, whether that's entering a trade or how you're managing that trade. That's a part of your discipline as a professional trader, right? there are, I mean, I mentioned Blue Sky earlier. That's kind of how this conversation got organized, but they are one of many prop firms that do have really strong risk management parameters that you can use, essentially guardrails to your trade system, where you can put in a maximum daily loss limit as well as a daily profit target. And when either of those numbers are achieved in your trades for that day, it will close your trades and lock you out of the system. So your account is safe. Either it's nicely green and you've hit a good profit target for the day, or you weren't seeing the market well and your trade went against you and you're lost, but you are locked out. So you literally cannot overtrade a revenge trade or really deepen it and risk blowing the account if you have those parameters in place. And so I love a good prop firm that has those options in place so that you can keep your losses mitigated and your accounts can survive. Because like we said at the beginning of this, the survival is the foundation of a long-term trading career. And so anything that you can do in order to make sure that you are managing your account to the best of your ability, I would use those resources. And then on the point of discipline, I would also argue that if you're disciplined in your life, that will carry over to your trading. And so if you're the type of person that makes sure you always want to move your body in a day, whether that's an exercise, a workout session, or just a walk, you want to make sure you're getting in plenty of water and, not only having coffee, and then wine, or what have you. Just make certain behaviors in your life a part of how you live and how you expect to manage yourself, and then follow those parameters that you set for yourself. Be disciplined in other aspects of your life, because if you are a disciplined person, that will cross the barrier into your trading. Likewise, if you're undisciplined, there's a risk of that crossing over into your trading as well, which can be pretty financially dangerous, right? So number 2 for the mindsets that are super important to success in trading is gratitude. This is one of my most favorite emotions to talk about, experience, think about, and prioritize, because it really shifts my perspective from any sort of negativity to positive, right? To the better aspect of this life. Gratitude, it boosts your overall sense of well-being, your happiness, your peace. And that in turn strengthens your resilience, your ability to hold through any sort of challenging moments. Toxic fear and negativity, conversely, though, those lead to anger, tilt, jealousy, stress, poor sleep, bad coping skills, and generally less healthy relationships. And all of that spills over into trading. If you're just negative, frustrated, angry, sleep deprived, it's going to make it much harder to nail a positive outcome for your day, for your life, energy to bring to your charts. If you're focused on what's wrong, it's harder to bring about what could be right. And if you can focus on a gratitude approach to your life and your work, it's so much more calm and peaceful. You can focus on the positive, stable, abundant parts of your life. And that does enable you to be more resilient and manage the difficult situations better and smoother. And you bounce back quicker because you know that your life is abundant. You have all these things in your life that you're grateful for already, your health, your happiness, the things you get to do later in the day. So even if you have a red trade, there are still pieces that you can remember to be positive and excited about. And by having that gratitude always a big part of your life, it's just a stronger base to work from in order to see like the potentials. You see the silver lining even on hard days. Okay, so number 3 for mindsets to prioritize is adaptability and flexibility. And so the markets are very dynamic, right? Strategies that work today might not work tomorrow. A trade setup that looked great when you entered, it might not actually be that great. It might turn out that the data that it's presenting is showing you the flip side of that. It's showing you that it's no longer working. You thought it was going to be a bullish trade and you got in for a long position and it started to hesitate and then started to sink. Well, it's important to be flexible and not hold on to that if the more information you're getting from the charts is showing you that your trade plan actually doesn't look as good. And being flexible to that information is really powerful for trade management. And so in that situation, you can adjust to the changing volatility. You can adjust if news pops up that suddenly influences the market. If market structure starts to shift in a given day, you can see that shift and recognize that you need to change your general trade plan because you're open to the information that's presenting and you're flexible enough to not stick with a trade if it's losing. It's more like a curious energy for the information that's going to come at you. And then when you get new information, you can refine your approach. You can refine your trade strategy for a given day. And then you have the potential to catch a better trade if you initially were biased to a certain direction and that proved to not be what the day that you're having. And then I think, don't say married to a trade. I love that phrase because it's so true. You need to be able to accept that it might not work out and see what information is coming about, and don't stay married. Like, hold the trade if it looks good and cut the trade if it looks bad. And that is such a more powerful approach to trading in general. Number 4 on the mindsets that we need to prioritize is confidence, with the caveat being confidence without ego. You have to be confident to be a day trader, right? There's an energy to that. You need to have conviction in order to execute a trade. You need to have faith in your system and your setups and what you have learned over the years of being a trader, and that you can pull a good trade and to put on leverage, right? There's a confidence that you have to have. But ego, if there's a fine line, right? If ego is driving this past confidence, it will lead to more stubbornness with your trades. You can accept a larger risk than maybe your trade system generally intends to, such as, this trade is definitely going to work. I've been winning nonstop. I know that this setup, I've seen it a million times. I'm just going to go in with double or triple my risk because I'm so sure that I've got this. Well, look at that. You've all of a sudden taken on more risk than your trade plan actually supports, than maybe is your account size appropriate for. And then you open yourself up to potentially greater risks. And so that ego is a difficult situation that you have to manage. And so when you're trading, you want to trade your system decisively and with confidence, right? When you see your setup, you've got to go for it. That's how you make money. You have to put on the risk in order to get the outcome. But in order to do it with confidence and less ego, you want to be able to make sure you're always admitting if you're wrong and cutting your losses. That's just has to be a priority. You want to know that you've put in the work to see great trades and be able to capitalize on them, but then know that there's a probability of this game that you're not going to win every trade, and to only hold the ones that are giving you the data that they're working. And so that can, build more confidence because you honor your protective stop loss and you honor your trade plan. And so that should make you more confident as you grow as a trader, and not feed your ego because you're not outsizing or, being stubborn, doubling down on a loss type of thing. Ego wants you to always be right and never take losses. That's dangerous. But confidence knows that it's a confident choice to take a stop, right? It's confidence in your system, knowing that you can take a small loss and you're good. You're still a trader with a profitable edge and ability to get at it again tomorrow and find the success week over week, not just one trade having too much bearing on what you're doing. Mindset number 5 is resilience. Okay, so losses and setbacks in trading are inevitable. It happens. It's a part of the experience of being a day trader. But how you bounce back, is what determines your long-term success. Improving your speed and acceptance with bouncing back will decrease your pullback in severity and duration, as well as your general equity curve trajectory, because you keep your losses small and you stay calm and centered and understand that that's a part of the probabilities of being a day trader. And you're going to get right back when you see a great setup. You're still in. So that sort of resilience is a really powerful tool that's super important to cultivate as a trader. And so one ways that you can cultivate that resilience is making sure that all of your days teach you. So winning trades can teach you for sure. They can validate your setup, teach you a little bit how you can refine it and do even better the next time. But I would argue that losing days, red days, can be massive teachers, right? To know that you took a trade that you thought would work and it did not work and you lost money on it. In that situation, take the lesson from it. Journal out why you got in, what you thought would happen, what actually happened, what maybe you missed, and what you could learn moving forward. You can also talk to your people. If you have a mentor or a trading accountability partner who trades kind of what you trade, talk it out and suss out the actual data that you need to gain to ideally not have that trade outcome again if you can. And so then once you learn whatever lesson you can from that trade, show up the next day and do your best to be focused and calm and come at your trading with a clean slate so that you can, when another opportunity presents itself, focus on that trade in front of you with your trading plan. What is it showing you? Is this level holding? And if this level holds, what would that look like for the movement forward? So anything that you can do in order to wipe the slate clean from a losing day or losing streak, what have you, do that. And I think it's different for each person. Exercise, a really good night's sleep, meditation, visualization, doing a hobby, getting out of town for a day and taking a day off. These things will help people to different degrees depending on who you are, but it will help you let it go, letting the losses go and not carry over any sort of negative energy will allow you to be more resilient moving forward, having that fresh start when you come back for the next day. And so recognizing always that one day, one trading period does not define you as a trader. If you are consistent with showing up for the work of it and sticking with it as a profession and learning and growing, then it's just going to be a little pullback in your journey, and it's not a big deal. It doesn't have to carry any more weight than that. And just remembering that sentiment helps me be more resilient, because I know that it's just a moment in time and I got this. And long term, I am a successful day trader. So it's not a big deal. It takes the weight out of it, Number 6 is important. So this is a process-oriented thinking. So process-oriented compared to outcome-oriented, right? That's the conversation. Outcome-based thinking leads to emotional reactions and a fixation on the end of a situation, the outcome, right? The P&L of a trade. Process, that keeps you grounded and present with your system and the current market data and opportunities. It keeps you dialed into how you want to be as a trader and your back-tested, studied, steady trade plan that you have written out and understood and executed on. If you can focus on just trading your trade plan in a given day, that will almost always give you such a better outcome than any sort of impulsivity, letting emotions lead you, knowing you want a green day. So you're just going to, chase this trade that you heard someone else was taking. And if they're a better trader than you, you want to do that too. That's not a process-based day. That is an outcome-based day and an emotional day. And so always this process-oriented mindset is super important. And so after you have a trade, one way to focus on this is to evaluate that trade and your trading session based on your execution quality, not just whether or not it made money. Did you follow your plan? Did you enter based on your entry criteria? Did you wait for your confirmations that are part of your system before you entered? And then when you were in the trade, did you manage it per your system as well? Did you get out where you intended to before you actually got into the trade? Are you honoring your edge, or are you letting your emotions take control? Are you getting into a trade and then you're getting nervous, you're getting fearful, you're getting greedy, you're managing it per those emotions, fear or greed, versus your plan? Those are very different things and they lead to very different outcomes, right? So, and then on a macro view too, are you being the trader that you want to be? Are you balancing your day? Are you prioritizing sleep and getting up and having a little bit of movement and feeding yourself in the middle of your trading day? That sort of balance is important for success as well, versus just an obsessive, forcing, high pressure, high anxiety moment that you just really need to get to the green outcome. That is not as ideal as the calm, focused, process-oriented as a trader. So big picture in terms of the structure of your day, as well as trading your trade plan. So process-oriented mindset, I think, is a really powerful logistical approach to trading that we have to always remember as well. I do love, we have an episode at Market Mamas from the book One Good Trade from Mike Bellafiore from S&B Capital. And I absolutely love the core sentiment of that. It's one good trade followed by one good trade. That is where your energy and your focus should be as a trader, right? The process, the chart that is in front of you. What does your trade plan say you do with this situation, this day that is shaping up? Focusing on the data and your process will get you the best outcome for that specific trade. You tune out the extra noise and you dial into your system, and then rinse and repeat. One good trade at a time. Focus on your system and your trade plan. That approach is really powerful for me, and I think for every day trader. Mindset number 7 is curiosity. And it's also, equivocal to being a lifelong learner, right? To being open to receive any and all knowledge that's going to make you better at whatever you're doing, especially trading. I think the best traders constantly do refine their edge and stay ahead of market conditions and changes, because they're constantly being so observant as to what the information is presenting in front of them, right? They journal their outcomes. They talk out with their trading partners in their community. That way they're constantly getting feedback as well, so that they can adjust their system, grow, maybe gain little tidbits of wisdom from traders that are in their inner circle, so that they can improve and get their even greater results down the line, right? By not staying stagnant and just thinking you know enough and you're good and you've made some money, so you don't need more refining. I don't think that that is a long-term good plan in trading, because like I said, markets are always changing and you can always change. You can always be open to receive more knowledge, more wisdom that will make you just better. And who doesn't want to be better? Because in trading, getting better and learning more, there's a correlation to a higher P&L, right? And I would take that. I do think that the market is abundant if you can start to figure out the rhythm of your markets and this trade setups and how they present and how to best capitalize on them. And the more you can learn about the moves of this market, the more you can capitalize on that abundance, right? And that sounds great, huh? And so what that can look like in your trading system, in your trading profession, is continuously striving to study your charts and testing new ideas and back testing them. And if it's a new trade plan that you want to get better at, start it with micros and then actually execute on it, study it, journal it, and write about it and learn, because then that can give you another just setup that you can trade. When you do trade after your sessions, you want to review your trades and what you did well, what you could have done differently, the potential for maybe holding a winning trade longer and where it actually went to in the day. And so I think that in your time where you're not actually executing a trade, putting priority on seeking the knowledge in order to do even better during your next trading session is a part of your trading profession, really, your business as a trader. It's not only the hour or two in the morning where you execute, such as when I generally will do my trading. I treat it as my business. And so I put in time after hours in the evening when my children are sleeping, in the afternoon, just to fill out my journal entries for the trade. So that way I can prioritize being curious about what the market is telling me and how I can do better next time. And I think that is really valuable for staying relevant and increasing your size down the line because you're just evolving and getting stronger. And, if you think about other professions, it's not so different from continuing education hours in any career. Like, you guys know that I am also a nurse. Well, as a nurse, you have to stay credentialed and you have to have certain certifications that are required for your role. And so doing those every year or two and staying, relevant with your continuing education is important to be good at your job and to have the necessary skills to be able to execute in any situation. Trading is a career, right? And so we should prioritize continuing education, which is backtesting, studying, journaling, talking to our educators. So definitely, I would say curious as a trader for a superpower in this role. This next one is abundance. The eighth mindset I want to talk about is abundance. And I just love the whole idea of having an abundant mindset because it's such a better energy and space to live in as a human. And with the roller coaster that trading is, it's also better energy for stability through the ups and the downs of trading. I mean, life is full of really an incredible amount of opportunities, as is the market. And so to be able to recognize that we have so much potential in front of us and embracing that abundance and wanting to make sure we're patient and letting something really set up, that way we can more fully capitalize on the true opportunities available. And so remembering that great opportunities are going to keep coming. If you miss something, if you miss a great trade, it's important to know that there's going to be many more great trades ahead of you, like a lifetime of great trades if you're going to be a long-term day trader. And so let it go. Like, let the trade that you missed come and go and just sit back, be like, I hope my friend caught that one, like, wish others well and wait for your next best opportunity instead of chasing or over trading because you are upset that you missed something. It's more of a faith of the big picture of what we're doing. And having that faith over the fear allows me to be less anxious about something, more abundant. And in terms of my entire approach to trading, it's like way better, it's like a peaceful view of life in general. It increases your positivity. It helps with resilience, right? And being free from a fear of failure, because one failed outcome, one failed trade, losing trade doesn't mean that your trading journey isn't abundant. Doesn't mean that you're not, still growing. And maybe that failed trade can be a part of your abundance because it taught you something. Maybe that loss that you took that was really frustrating created a really powerful conversation with your mentor or your training partner where you expressed how frustrated you were and what you didn't see. And then you had a light bulb moment of what you could have seen sooner and how you want to change your system on these certain days. And so even that loss is abundant because it gave you information that you needed to be more powerful as a trader moving forward. And so I think if we can reframe pretty much all of our experiences to that more positive, abundant, propellant type energy in your journey, it's so much more inspiring and stabilizing through the hard times. There's always going to be more opportunities. And by embracing that personal growth through those types of days, it means that you're going to generally get better at capitalizing on the next opportunities. And so that energy and seeking the potential of the growth is really helps me feel more abundant as a trader. But then also with abundance, always remembering for me that my life is abundant outside of trading as well. And so, my children and my family life is really fulfilling. My part-time career as a nurse is really fulfilling. And, to each their own, whatever they have, something generally we always have multiple streams in our life of places where we're putting our energy, right? Whether it's your family or what have you. And so seeing that you are abundant in ways that are not just a green trade per se, it's a bigger like macro view of your life and the ways that it is actually really beautiful, even no matter what like outcome you're having on the charts. It's nice. It's a better way to sit with it. Mindset number 9 is definitely has to mention patience, right? Because patience is so key in trading to always not be grasping and revengey. Most of trading realistically is waiting, right? You have to wait for your setup to get ready. You have to wait for your ideal entry and then get in. You're waiting for confirmations. You're waiting for your targets to get hit. There's a lot of waiting in trading, which can be very painful. It can be hard if you know you generally get a trade in during this time frame and you want to be able to lock it in. Well, it's better to just calm and breathe and let her set up and then be able to get your outcome. If you rush into your trade, which I have been guilty of more than I would like, and I've learned, but if you rush into a trade before it's fully ready, when you think that it's setting up, when you think it's doing this, you can really get burnt badly because you can run out of time and then you're in a trade and it's not ready and then your stop gets hit. And then the worst is you did rush the trade and you were taken out for a loss. And then the trade actually does set up, but you've already potentially lost your daily's loss limit. And so you can actually take the trade that still happens because you rushed it, right? And so, that's example of 784 of what can happen when you're not patient. So you want to make sure you're always holding to a strong system, which is, I want to see this and then I wait for this to happen. And then that's how I get in. Having that patience is going to make you a stronger, more successful long-term trader for sure. And so if you cannot force your trades, right, let the high probability setups set up and let them come to you, you're going to have better trades. And then if you do have a loss or a big win, staying calm after that is also important because you don't want to necessarily hop right back into another trade, or if you lost, have a revenge trade or overtrading. And so having patience about all aspects of your trading and knowing that you don't need to be in the market all day. And in fact, if you are, you'll probably have a more red P&L, overall with that. It's important to remember. And so you only want to ideally have the highest quality trades each day and then balance that out with like a walk or another activity, a hobby, doing something with your family. And so to have patience as well of like 1 or 2 good trades and then I'm done no matter the outcome. And I also want to fit in these other things. That's a part of a patient outlook as well. And then another aspect to this is allowing your accounts to compound, allowing your wins to compound over time. Because, if you just think I only made $500 today, but if you think about it in a 5-day trading week, if 4 days you made $500 and 1 day you lost $500, you made $2,000 that week. That's a patience with the compounding effect, right? Let it build up, let your accounts grow, recognize that, reasonable wins over time is going to be a really nice sized account. And so having patience to let that build is another aspect of like just letting it happen in trading, right? It's doable. It makes a nice, successful financial outcome very doable for learning traders. This last one is humility, which I think is so important in life as a mindset, in trading, in humans. I think it's a very appealing quality in a person because it really opens you up to, remaining curious and learning, and you're a little bit better energy in all the ways. I think the market, she can and she will humble all of us. And if you haven't experienced that, then you are probably have not been a trader more than a week. Overconfidence is dangerous, and it often will precede large losses, right? And the flip side of overconfidence is humility. remaining humble and promoting continuous learning, asking questions, having strong, healthy, authentic, open, mutually respectful relationships and conversations with mentors or other traders will help you learn more and be more open to their information and another side to the same story, another side of the same trade. It encourages you to be more adaptable because you're open to receive more information than you thought you knew everything, maybe. You thought you understood all aspects of a certain market, but there's almost always more that you can learn. So you'll be more adaptable and you'll grow more if you're humble enough to hear what other people might have to say about something, right? And then you want to like accept that you're not always going to be right because no one knows everything, right? You want to keep your risk in check because there is a potential for over leveraging when you're on a winning streak and you just think you're seeing every trade so clearly. You want to keep capitalizing on how well you're doing. And then if you go in heavier and you're more complacent with the data that's printing in front of you, there's a big risk there of accepting too much risk and then not managing it as tightly as you normally would because you just think the money's going to keep rolling. And then you can get really, really humbled, right, in that situation. So I would caution with that, with the overconfidence, and humility is a much stronger approach to day trading than that. And then also do be open to receive coaching because if you are in any point of a struggle, there's nothing shameful about asking for help and seeking guidance from someone who's been a trader longer than you or does better with certain market conditions. I think being open to receive that feedback from mentors is really a big part of humility because it's recognizing that there's always more to learn and there are people that can teach you. And so you want to be able to quiet your own internal voice and hear them in order for it to actually matter and impact your trading plan the most beneficially, right? And so seeking more knowledge, always collaborating as effectively as you can, because you never know what you're going to learn from someone else if you don't have like conversations around areas where you might have some room to grow. And also, humility makes you, a more attractive human for everyone, for your friends, for the communities that you're in. It's a wonderful quality. Okay, so that was the 10 mindset shifts that I have had to prioritize as a trader to get my most successful outcomes. And I want you to know that, like, some of these you're going to be really good at. They're just intuitive for your personality, and you really feel like you have it on lock. Others of these is going to be an area that you know you need to put forth more energy on, right? And so I would definitely figure out which areas for growth you have and then prioritizing, the good ones you want to keep, but the ones that you need to work on, prioritize doing the work there and seeking mentors that speak to that area, that teach you what you need to know, and then allow it to take time, right? Neuroplasticity means that your brain can create new neural pathways for subconscious thought processes and actions, but it's not immediate. You can't just do, visualizations 2 nights a week and then the next week you're going to be golden. It's more of like you need to have this sort of knowledge and information and intention in your life every day, whether it's notes in your spaces, on your mirror, in your desk, conversations with your close people in your trading world that understand what you're doing, audio, things that you're listening to, podcasts such as this. You need to constantly have it in your face every day, in your ear every day, to change your internal dialogue so that way you are adjusting your mindset in that area for the more helpful, beneficial, success-oriented shift that you need to make in whatever given area you need to target. So, it's been cited that it takes 66 days for a new habit formation. Well, it's going to take you months, right, to really reframe that. But every little bit of effort you do will build up. There will be a compounding effect of you constantly trying to capture your negative thoughts or choices sooner, a little bit sooner, capturing them a little bit sooner, containing them, and then rewriting them and thinking about, abundance over fear, capturing those as often as you can, and that self-awareness on what you are telling yourself in order to pivot that to what you should be telling yourself for a more objective and successful experience. That will slowly build up and get easier, and you'll get faster with it if you really do prioritize shifting that over time, which I think is worth our effort, right? I think this episode is because all of these mindsets are really beneficial to me as a day trader. And so that's why I wanted to talk about them, because it will take time to adjust them. For almost all of us have whatever kind of trauma or background or negativity experiences that we have had. We need to shift in order to be our most successful, focused, energized traders. And so regularly practicing shifting those thoughts to be who we know we need to be will make a difference over the long term. And this is part of like trading needs to be a journey. It's a long-term process. And being a seven-figure trader is not going to happen in your first couple of years, but it's absolutely possible if you shift into the type of person that embodies that always. And so I would encourage you to start anywhere with any of these and just start adjusting yourself, because in time you will notice with a hindsight view of the growth that you have, that it has mattered, that it has built up, that you have changed your energy and your personality and your approach to your trading system in a way that has serves you, and you're having a little bit less struggles as time goes on. And so that will be from this type of work, I would argue. Having a technical trading edge is required to be a trader, but fine-tuning your psychological edge is what really is impactful in your growth and your potential to do this long term. And so that's what this is all about is, make this your own. Take responsibility for this part of your trading journey and work it. Work it like you would backtest a new strategy. Instead, work your mindset and your approach to life and the things that you tell yourself and the way you approach your bedtime and how you calm your head and how you wake up your head with a focused and abundant energy each morning. And I think it's going to be different for everyone, doing what speaks to you. Some people are really great at meditation and visualization, and other people struggle with that, but they're really good at a hard workout session. And so, however you ground yourself and you focus on being the discipline, positive, curious trader, lean into that and expand upon that, because it will have a difference for you in the long term. And I think that's what we all want, right? There's a reason why you're here at this podcast with me. And it's because you want to be a successful, trader, a successful, profitable, steady day trader. And that is what I want. That's who I am manifesting. That's who I'm actively becoming. That's, I had some payouts from my accounts hit my bank account this week. And it's like, yeah, like I show up every day for the work of it, the technicals, the trade plan, the journaling after the fact, the talking to my people, the working on my mindset, the prioritizing peace and neutrality at bedtime, and a proactive focus, abundant energy pre-market, and balance in my day where I fit in exercise and focused, loving time with my children that fulfills my heart. This is the person that I'm becoming, and these payouts are they're the outcome of that. And there's a very small percentage of that big picture that was the technicals. So what I got for today. Thank you very much for being here. There'll be some more information in the show notes that broke down those mindsets, but then, and the timestamps of time where I spoke on each one of them. So feel free to go back if you know which ones you want to get a little bit better at. Write down some notes, maybe if anything clicked with you. And I would say just start with intention and work on an area that you might feel needs to be worked on, and start there. And hit me up if you have any questions or thoughts. Please do leave a comment if you have any thoughts at all, and subscribe if you haven't already, because this is kind of the heart of Market Mamas, is these type of conversations that I think are really powerful for growth as a day trader and target more of the psychological elements of our growth, because honestly, that's how I get paid, is by targeting my psychological growth needs. And so that's what I want to talk about. Okay. Thank you all for being here, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.